We have
Going live.
Okay, now the issue is going to be,
Do it live.
keeping up. It says we're live.
We'll do it live.
Let's see what happens.
Do we have audio?
Wait, it says we're offline, so I don't know which stream we're on the new one.
Yeah, just if they go back to the channel, it'll be probably the most recent live link.
Okay, here's one that says we're live. Hey, there we go. We have audio.
Yeah, the video's coming in.
Just said it.
All right.
We had audio the first time.
No.
Oh, did we?
We did. That's super awesome.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah,
We're live, but we have nobody in the room.
That's all right. They're figuring out. Okay, you want to adjust the angle?
Sure.
Yeah, might as
Switch it up a
well.
little bit. That'll work. There you go.
Yep.
You want to see Santa crawling down the companion chimney.
Exactly.
He's going to be coming for your chimney.
All right.
We got one person in
All
right
right.
now.
Let's see who
It's like
shows up now.
folks are coming.
Now that we have audio.
All right, man.
Yeah.
I can
Dude, that
unplug
was
this.
seriously amazing.
Yeah.
The fact that we're 20 minutes into this and just now have a connection, you guys are kick-ass for sticking with us.
All right. So,
Okay, everybody. Hi, I'm Jeremy, and this is Todd and Steven. And thank you for joining us for our Q&A today. Thank you for your patience and sticking around while we untangled ourselves from our underwear. All right, so we're running a little late, so we're going to get right into the questions. First question comes in from Darwin Prieto. That's an awesome name, Darwin. Thank you for bringing us your question. He or she is from Florida. And the question that was posed is, how are you going to handle permits? For example, if you ever come to Fort Myers or Naples, Florida, lovely places to be, by the way, they have very tough laws around living quarters on the property. I know you have opened up your market for Florida, but I also don't know the rules and how it works in California. Do you think this is possible when it comes to permits, plumbing, electrical, etc., and all the paperwork that comes with the home?
I think people overcomplicate it.
Yeah.
So this isn't. If you came to our showroom, which is where we're at now.
Merry Christmas, by the way.
Yeah. For those of you celebrating Christmas, we wanted to build a unit that didn't require all the complications that go along with installing a home or building a home. So essentially, this is in every way, with the exception of the location it's typically put in, this is an RV. So as long as you can park an RV on your property, you can put a Back Porch Homes on your property. The crux of the problem is, can you live in it for whatever duration of time? For example, California, and I think it's a statewide sheriff code, and this is being changed because of all the regulations that are enacted in 2020. You can only stay in a vehicle, which is what this is, for 3 days. So, it gives sheriffs the opportunity to roll around and go to, to people parked on curb and say, hey, move along. You can't essentially live on this public curb. When you connect these two utilities, it's exactly the same as if you go to any typical campground. And if this unit inside here was connected in like 4 hours inside our warehouse. We're inside our warehouse, and it was done really quickly. If you're using a 220 plug, very similar to a dryer, like in your, if you have a laundry room, you're using a conventional hose bib, so just like anything you connect your hose to, and like a garden hose, and you're using a 2 to 4 inch line depending the requirements for your area and whether or not you have to use a pump to pump waste uphill, or if you use fall to go downhill. When we install, we're digging one trench, putting all those pipes in one line, and we can do it in an afternoon if the crew's lazy, a full day. But from a regulatory standpoint, most places don't have an issue, except for the waistline that changes per city, but don't have an issue with that kind of install. You can always put water in the ground. You can always put electrical. Some areas don't allow waistlines, and that depends on each city. The California as a whole has decided that, well, it's not a state regulation. Most cities are coming on board saying that tiny homes are ADUs, accessory dwelling units. And California has new regulation for accessory dwelling units, stating that if you have an existing structure and you want to build additional square footage, it's counted as part of the existing structure, even if it has a whole new kitchen and bedroom, and it's basically looks like a duplex. It's just an extension of your home, and it's a way for us to build a lot more square footage quickly because we have a housing crisis. So our factory built tiny home can be backed in, craned, whatever, into your property, and somebody can move into it. Well, depending on our manufacturing time, I mean, it could be 6 weeks in the beginning. Hopefully, we're gonna get that down to 1 to 2 weeks. Within a couple weeks, you can have someone living in your backyard.
Okay. We're going to come back to there are a number of questions about regulatory compliance that we'll have you guys talk to in just a little bit. But another question I think is on people's minds regards the rental income and how the unit pays for itself over time. So Rachel Klein in New York posted this question. I'm wondering about the income opportunity for your homes. You say that the monthly payments are $439. How much rent can we charge for this tiny home? And if we rent, and so then she gives her hypothetical, I guess for her area. If rent for a regular size apartment is an average of $1,100 per month, how much can we charge for this tiny home?
So obviously this is going to be something that's dependent on your area. In some areas you can rent a studio apartment for $3,500 a month.
Yeah.
And in some areas you can rent a studio house for, $400 a month. So, it's obviously going to be very dependent on where you live and where you want to place one of these units. But, we in our area out here in Riverside, I could see our unit renting for about $1,200 a month, maybe as low as $900.
Yeah, rented in a day.
At 900 to be rented in a day, and especially if you put it in one of the nicer neighborhoods, I think it would be pretty easy to rent. There's some studio apartments that are brand new construction in downtown Riverside specifically, and those studio units are going for $1,700 a month right now for the cheap one.
And it took like 3 months for them to be 75% occupied?
Yeah, it took more than that. This is a Los Angeles area developer that built a very Los Angeles urban style apartment, which is a very cool place, but very expensive, for a lot of people in this area. But that's for a studio apartment. It's 400 and something square feet. Our units at 255 square feet are smaller, but has the same exact utility, just not as much unused space or open space as you might have in that studio unit.
Walls, really.
Yeah, no common walls. So
yeah, that's like the story that one of our friends was saying yesterday, right?
Yeah.
About the whole common space. He was talking about being in an apartment, having to travel, take his groceries from this parking garage upstairs through an elevator, down a hallway, and all we imagined was like the He-Man grocery, like every single bag on fingers all the way there. That kind of sucks. You could live in a backyard instead. And
pull your car up right to your unit and take your groceries out. There's these little minor inconveniences that come with living in an apartment. And, there's some things that obviously, homes have their own set of challenges and whatnot. But I think you could probably compare it in most cases to a studio apartment in your area if they're available. If not, I would look for something that, put yourself in the renter's mindset. If you're going to be a renter and you're looking at the available units, what would you want and how much would you be willing to pay for what's available out there right now? That's probably the best way to go about answering the rent question, because I don't know your specific area.
Yeah, it's not too universal.
Right.
The other thing is like if you or I, let's say like we were single and we're just with our spouses, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we were trying to rent, like, let's say, a lot of people say like they want to rent a granny flat or casita behind somebody's home. I mean, search any local listing for those. You usually see there's actually a premium on them, no matter how small they are, because you're in a nicer neighborhood. Mm-hmm. You usually like people that have a large enough home to have a secondary unit. Their home's a lot nicer. Yep. There's a bit of a premium, so you may find in your area like, I'm looking at all these studios, but it's like a class C or D neighborhood, meaning lower level neighborhood, and then you may get more for the rent in a better neighborhood for a smaller unit.
Right, because comparable units you might find there's a lot of people that are cohabitating where it's a lot of people that aren't necessarily friends prior to, they just became roommates, but they live in a bigger house together, and you might end up sharing a bathroom with another couple or another person, and you still have to share the kitchen and the common space of the home. So
you ate my food.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's like those dorm days all over again.
That was my pizza.
So I think you could probably rent it for more than what you'd find a room for rent for, but probably not as much as you'd get like for a single bedroom apartment in a decent area. So, there's a little bit of homework to be done, obviously, on everybody's part if you plan to rent it out. So, do your due diligence and
talk to a property manager.
Yeah, talk to a property manager, talk to a realtor in the area, talk to somebody who leases property on a regular basis. They could probably give you a fairly good idea.
All right, very good. Jackie Davis, also from California, asks, are these homes able to be insured?
Yes.
The
short answer is yes. It would be insured by an auto or like an RV type insurance company. So, we have some people we can refer that for those types of needs as they come up, which will come up. You are going to need to have insurance. I don't know if you need to have it, but
if you pay cash, you don't. If you have our financing, you do.
Yeah, if you have our financing, you will have to have insurance. So we'll get you set up with an RV company, but I'm sure your current auto insurance company would be able to insure them just fine.
Yeah, if you look at I want to say like AAA and Good Sam, and I don't know this for sure. I don't work for those companies. I have no idea. But just growing up with an RV, like in my family's household, as long as they're ANSI certified, any of those who one of the primary parts of the business is already RV should be able to do this no problem.
Okay, very good. Joyce Peter asks this question: have you given any thought to having a solar powered model?
I should put Elon's message back.
Yeah, we actually just had a very brief encounter with Elon Musk from Tesla. He was recommending that we put a Tesla solar roof on
solar shingles
battery.
Yep, and install the battery in the unit, which it's actually sort of built for. We can do that, so that's an option that we will have going down the road. Mm-hmm. We're not going to do it for free. That will be an additional cost, obviously, but very cool idea. It's something we kind of thought of before we even built the prototype. That would be a very cool option, would be to have a Tesla solar roof on it, because for a lot of people that are in the southwestern part of the United States, there's plenty of sunshine, and there's no real reason to pay a ton of money for your electrical utilities. And since these run on 100% electricity, it would probably make sense to have solar. So we have a plan for that.
So we submitted. Well, that was a couple days ago. So we submitted. He sent us the link to the commercial division, or whoever runs the social rights, and us link to the commercial division.
This is for Tesla.
For Tesla. That's the first company we're starting working with. We know there's some parts of it that are cost effective. I've heard from some people that we have a friend of ours actually just did a ridiculously extensive search on solar, and that there's something to do with and I don't know very much about solar, so if I sound like an idiot, it's because I don't know much about solar. Because we're pre-wiring, we want to put like a jack in, and we want to pre-wire these things, not the first models, but eventually like 50 units in for an easy solar connection. Especially because California's 2020 regulations require solar on new home construction. This is not a home, but we still want to be like as close to home construction as possible, because it's all 2x4 built and whatnot. But there's an issue with the cells where they need the ones with the built-in capacitor there's something about they're more efficient, and from what I understand, that technology keeps getting better and better. And I think Tesla does not, and I could be speaking out of turn, but I think I remember Tesla does not have the built-in capacitor. So they're the first people we're going to. But if you're like, I don't like Tesla, I still want their Powerwall, even though I don't want their solar system, whatever, we're going to be able to probably broker with several different solar companies. I just think Tesla will be the first relationship we'll pursue.
Excellent. A number of questions relate to, I think we could say generally build quality, because the companion model is classified, because it has to fit in some category, as a recreational vehicle. You talked about that a little earlier. It has to go with RV code for insurance and auto financing, as opposed to a traditional site-built home or accessory dwelling unit. Talk to us about that a little bit. The construction quality, the materials, how this compares to or how it's different from an RV, and how maybe it's different or similar to a traditional site-built structure.
Yeah.
So keep using the very elegant phrase. It's built like a brick shit house.
Oh, I was afraid you were going to use that elegant phrase.
This one especially is built extremely sturdy. The thing about our model is it's 2x4 construction, just like a residential home. In a residential home, you have gypsum board, right? You have drywall on the inside, and on the outside you have either some sort of stucco, siding, and all of them offer additional shear, meaning like the box twists less. This thing going down the road has shear on both the inside and outside. The entire inside is shiplap, and the outside. This is a 18-inch board siding, meaning 18 inches tall and 8 or 12 feet long. Actually, I think this might even be 16 footers. We're talking about doing a LP product instead, because this one has some MDF in it. We actually want the product to be a poly base to be really weatherproof. We just could only get material for this quickly off the shelf. That was
so you're referring to the prototype that you guys can see in the background. Yes. It's kind of where you hammered out the design intricacies that you're talking about right now.
Yeah. So the model behind us, we built 8 to 10 people in the warehouse, and we did it in 6 weeks, and we just got whatever we could off the shelf. The goal really is for all of the products, if possible. There may be some that the replacements might take a little while to order, but we want all of the products, if possible, to be like where a regular homeowner could walk into a Home Depot or Lowe's or whatever their Orchard, whatever their hardware store is by them, and find that product and then fix it themselves. The problem with a lot of the old either manufactured homes or specialty RVs, they all had thinner walls, specialty door handles and locks and cabinets.
Stuff you couldn't go to Home Depot and buy a replacement product.
No, the joke was there's a catalog and it's black and white, and you hope you pick the right product, and it shows up 6 weeks later. So the goal is you can literally walk in the store, see it, come back home just like you would on your regular residence.
Or hire a regular contractor.
That needs no specialty knowledge.
Yeah. Right, and doesn't need to know some specialty parts catalog. You can just go into any home improvement store and purchase the parts and install it like you would on a regular house.
Yeah, like you're not have to drive, like if you want the thing in your backyard or if it's craned in, right? You don't have to drive it down to whatever the repair department is.
Service department.
Yeah. and fix it. Everything can be done in the field. The 2x4 construction is obviously exactly the same as a home. We're doing a trussed roof. The roof shingles are 130 mile an hour hurricane shingles, so you can have a 70 mile an hour head and toe in the same 55 miles an hour. Residential dual pane windows. These ones don't. This unit doesn't have it, but we'll have built-in blinds into all the windows when delivered. Dutch door. I mean, we're basically trying to specialize in well-built, like almost luxury, small space. A lot of the other tiny homes out there are built in all kinds of different materials. You see them in steel, wood, some combination of both. And all of them people look like they're really taking a lot of time and care into building things. They just don't build them at scale. And you see a lot of reclaimed materials where all our materials are brand new. We're trying to take what a lot of cottage industries are doing, and which is expensive, right? Slow to build and expensive to build. And we're trying to make it one model, streamlined as possible, and the best quality we can put out the door.
I think the analogy that you've used when we've talked about the manufacturing idea is similar to where the automobile industry was 100 years ago, when having a car was a luxury.
Sure.
You had General Motors and Studebaker, all these different brands, but they were very complicated, very expensive to buy, very expensive to own. You had to have an employee, and all he did was drive the car and fix the car.
You still do. If you get a Duesenberg today, you still got to have an employee. All they do is buy this. Jay Leno has a guy who just does his Duesenberg stuff.
Yeah. So if we could all have our own wildly successful night shows, we could buy those kinds of cars. But for most of us, so when Ford came along, he created a very simple machine, very durable machine that met the needs of an overwhelming majority of Americans and made owning and using a vehicle available to a much larger audience. So I think the idea here, what you guys have talked about, is taking what is historically tiny homes, very boutique, customized, personalized, and pretty expensive, a type of a proposition and taking that cost by factory controlled manufacturing, being able to build these things at scale to reduce the cost.
And I think if Henry Ford would have given people what they asked for back when he built the Model T, he would have given them faster horses because that's what people wanted. And all he did was build something else. And it's sometimes when you're changing an industry or disrupting some kind of thing, the general public doesn't have an idea of exactly what it is they're looking for, and so you have to kind of throw some things out at the public to see what sticks. And this, we already know what a house is. It's an adaptation, and so I think this will be, I think this will be a great answer to the housing crisis.
Let's talk about the zoning regulatory issues again. Why don't you guys share with the audience what are some of the developments you've been seeing, particularly here in California, as it relates to adopting tiny homes as solutions for expanding, housing capacity?
If I go I'm scrolling down to get to all my legislative text because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least 5 state level bills, and then a bunch of local ones in California that have come up. This is like a 3-step problem. So you have the state level a year or two ago that said we're not getting involved in tiny homes at all. We decided that the world can figure tiny homes out on their own. They don't need us, right? And then we have the next step down, which is like counties and cities, like the major municipalities. And they've essentially said, in whatever capacity they want, we will accept tiny homes as an ADU if this, right? Or they're saying we're trying to figure out how to use tiny homes as an ADU. So the state created all these new ordinances for ADUs, not for tiny homes. They said we're staying out of that world. But like LA wrote, Section F of LA's ADU ordinance spells out how to make a tiny home an ADU or classify it as an ADU, meaning you can go walk into the permit department, hopefully get a desk review, and walk out with the ability to install one of our homes. The San Diego has kind of done the same thing. Well, like San Diego just kind of like threw their hands up and was like, just go, and they kind of just greenlit them as they were. I think we'll see some more text written there because I think San Diego's concern was we need to act fast and the damage could be that bad. Most of what LA is writing is we actually really agree with the way LA's written the literature. Well, our original proposition was that we were going to go out to the cities. Our government relations team would show up and say, hey, look, new way to generate revenue, charge $300 a year for a compliance check, just like you would with a rental, like a rental home. A lot of cities have these rental home compliance checks. You send a code enforcement officer out. They say the tiny home is there, looks connected properly. It doesn't look like an RV. It's actually like a home, and it's connected to utilities property, and it's maintained, and looks like the surrounding area. And good, pay a fee next year. The cities didn't really like that idea because the state pushes back on any fees you add to adding additional housing, especially small space housing. So like it's an overlap of the ADU world. If you add taxation to ADUs, the state sort of slaps your hand for it. That's what we've heard from city planners. Now we don't fully understand how the relationship works. That's what our government relations team is for, but that's essentially what they've told us in layman's terms. So now at the city level, we're having to go city by city and sort of check what they've decided, how tiny homes are going to be incorporated. And then we have to learn that permit process city by city. So LA should be super easy. San Diego should be super easy. Should be. Yeah, we got to do some test runs. Ordinance 348 in Riverside County is a complete revision of the massive zoning regulation. And we're doing our best to get our language put into there. San Bernardino County has yet to make any major adjustments. There's actually a cost associated with making major zoning adjustments. So it's easier to just say make these ADUs instead of doing any kind of major change or any kind of major study. Sacramento, I think, is already coming on board. Fresno has been on board for a long time. So about half the state is compliant, and it seems to be all the states, the municipalities that are are dealing with affordable housing issues. You know, LA obviously has a huge issue with homelessness. These aren't. This is like, so if you have homeless housing, which would be like group homes or, you know, places built out in warehouses or churches or whatever, those are those are being impacted with both people who can't afford to live in just a regular home in LA and true homeless people. So if we can build units that are a step up where somebody that maybe it's a single parent with a kid or an elderly person or a young person who would have either been like, you know, renting seven different rooms in a house or maybe being forced into a shelter, maybe an elderly person forced into a shelter. And we can put a bunch of these in the backyards of units in LA, then those people can actually afford to rent these. And then we could hopefully clear up some of the homeless, all the different types of affordable or subsidized housing, affordable housing projects that are overrun with people and maybe forcing people on the street. So create more inventory, right? Classic capitalism problem. Create more inventory, price goes down, and then everybody gets what they need at the price they can afford.
Excellent. Okay, we've got time for about 2 more questions. One question that comes up repeatedly is about the availability of air conditioning, the utilities, all that kind of stuff. Who wants to respond to that?
Well, you're kind of the utility guy.
Everybody asks where the poop goes. Literally, council members are asking that question. It's kind of funny. I get the concern about waste. So the most common version of that question is, are they self-sufficient? So you have an apartment, but you have a washer and dryer that's communal downstairs, or you have a dormitory, but you have bathrooms down the hall, or whatever the case may be. These units are entirely self-sufficient. And if you're wondering how 255 square feet can be self-sufficient, you'd be surprised. Full-size kitchen, full-size appliances, full-size bathroom, enough room to turn around a wheelchair in or a walker, fully backed walls to grab handles for our senior friends, 36-inch openings. What we found is people walk in to the model and go, huh, I could totally do this. Mm-hmm. And they hear like 255 square feet and they're like, oh, who could live in 255 square feet? And they sit down on the couch in front of the fireplace and the TV that comes with the model. It comes with your home. And they go, this is cozy. Like I could totally do this. So the units are entirely self-sufficient, washer, dryer, combo, full set of appliances. I mean, everything we need. The only thing we don't provide with our homes is the living space furniture. It would be really complicated. We're going to have some recommended providers. It'd be really complicated for us to build a whole series of models to accommodate every lifestyle. We obviously putting a hospital bed in for somebody that's a senior on hospice care is we sure as heck can't provide that. But we need the space for it, right? We can't build furniture in because then that couldn't go into it. Somebody wants to use a Murphy bed couch combo and have a very conventional living style. This would make sense. It wouldn't make sense for us to provide it because there's so many great third-party providers. Maybe somebody just wants to put a bed in and they don't care about the couch. I personally, I've been joking, I spend a substantial amount of time where I come home and I think I visit the kitchen for about 3 seconds if we're not ordering food from somewhere because I'm working 16-hour days. And we're literally sitting in bed with a towel on the bed, watching crime TV in my house. So everybody's lifestyle is different. So we want to make sure the living space stay very versatile.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And then one thing I noticed when I went into the model, and if you haven't watched our showroom tour video, then you should do that because then you'll be able to get the next best thing to coming to the showroom, to be able to see the interior of the companion and get an appreciation for the space that it offers. But it's full height ceilings. It's not like walking around in an RV when you have to be a hunchback the entire time you're walking around. Yeah, you're curled up in a ball in the fetal position to go to sleep at night, leaning over the arched ceiling.
Smack your hand on the roof of the wand for the shower, trying to get. Damn it.
Yeah, it feels like you're in. I think a studio apartment is the right analogy of all that space. What you talked about, the unit comes with the air conditioning, all the appliances. What doesn't it provide that the buyer will need to take account for?
So I think one of the first things you're going to notice is there's not a ton of storage. So if you've got a lot of stuff, a lot of things, like we just talked to somebody yesterday, they said that they had a 3,500 square foot home, of which 4 of the bedrooms in that 5-bedroom home were unused and completely empty and void of anything. So
wait, so you can lock the door completely?
Like we could have come to his home as a joke, lock his doors, and he wouldn't have known it. So there's, if you have a lot of stuff, you're probably going to want to have an outside storage shed or get a separate storage container somewhere, storage facility, public storage, whatever.
Or consider a lifestyle change. You can do that.
You read Marie Kondo's book and decide what brings happiness to your space.
Yeah. I kind of have a policy around my house where if we haven't looked at it, used it, or done anything with it for the last year, we get rid of it. Because we try not to keep a lot of clutter. Right? It's just it's not something I don't find much use. If we don't find use for it, we don't keep it. So
that's a lifestyle change.
It is.
Yes. Yeah.
Not everybody's going to embrace that, and that's fine. But that's.
Well, I think that's kind of part of the adventure of it. It's a different way of living. It's I guess a simplified way of living. Although it's when you get into the unit and you see everything that you need, every convenience is within arm's reach. The one thing is, you've built a lot of storage into every possible space. But you really have to kind of think about orienting your life. Now we're looking at talk about some of this last question will be what types of people would make optimal residence for the companion. You want a family of 6. Sure. What are we thinking about when you guys designed this?
When we designed it, it was designed for a single person in a lot of different capacities. That they could be in a lot of different stages of their lives, but it could also be for a couple. I think a couple could live in the space just fine, very comfortably. I could too. I don't see a problem with a couple living in that space. I could even see a couple with one small child. However, you'll probably need to bring an additional sleeping arrangement in order to make that work. But I think that's who we designed it for. Mostly a single person. And that could be a person that's an elderly person who is, sort of just wanting their independence, or that could be a teenage child who wants to start their independence for the first time, and
get in my house.
Yeah, exactly. It's a transition from living with mom and dad to living, really close to mom and dad in a separate unit, and maybe they're taking on some more adult responsibilities.
How do you use the washer and dryer?
Exactly. They can figure out those problems, and you're not too far away, so you can still be there to help. But they're not living in the main home; they're living on their own separate thing, and they can cover their own utility payment, and they can recover the payment of the unit, and all the other things that are going to come with that. Mm-hmm. So, sort of a transitional way to get kids out of their own independence, I thought would be kind of a cool way for parents, because parents these days are talking a lot about their kids never moving out. My kid's just never going to move out. That's what they're going to live with me.
They'll say they don't want them to.
Yeah,
I kind of want them to move out.
Yeah, that's
seeing them every day.
Yeah, there's no need no need to be an empty nester in this day and age, I guess. But I know at one point we were all kids and we couldn't wait to get out of our parents' home. So,
and yet I stayed so long.
Exactly, but I'm sure at some point the kids are going to want to move out, and it's good to have a transition for them. So that, and then there's the young professionals, the people that would come. They work in an area for a very short period of time, and they're going to kind of moving around to different places, and they want to live in a decent area. They don't want to go to bed at night with gunshots and stuff going on around them. They want to live somewhere where it's a safe neighborhood. And this unit, if it's in the back of a nice home, I mean they're in a good place and they can kind of sleep soundly at night.
They're probably never home except for sleeping.
Exactly. That's the other thing. When you really dig down to it, there's a lot of people that don't spend much time at home. It's really just a place to sleep. Yeah. And in some cases a place to make the occasional meal,
a sandwich on vacation,
take a shower. I mean, so it's got everything you need in it. But it doesn't have a ton of unused or useless space. I mean, if I look at my own home, it's how much space do I really need in the kitchen? Yeah. I mean, at one time, at the most,
you cook a lot.
I do. I cook pretty much 3 meals a day in my home. So if I look at my home and think, how many people do I ever need in this room at one time? It's going to be around 1 to 2 people. Yeah. Some people need to be in there, but I have space in my kitchen for I could probably fit a good 30 people in there,
Yeah.
and I don't need that space.
We'll send out a link to Todd's home so you guys can go there for dinner since he's got the room.
Right.
Well, actually, so we're going to make a full Thanksgiving dinner in this unit tonight.
Yeah, tonight we're doing Thanksgiving here tonight.
Yeah, we're going to like full blown turkey, like everything, all here.
Yep, we're going to cook it in the unit, and we're going to take some pictures. We'll post those up. Pardon our friends; they're not attractive people, so we're going to apologize.
We're not either, though. So it was going to be a live radio show, but we opted for.
We have faces for radio. Yes,
yeah, great faces for radio.
Yeah. Okay, so if a person is interested in finding out more, what should they do?
Well, finding out more about what? Let's
actually. So I want to qualify that as a just use the sales tip call to action, right?
Yeah.
So here's the thing. A lot of people are going to watch us be on the stream later on, right? It's going to be up on our website. We have made it ridiculously easy to hold your place in line.
Yes.
Like you go on the website, you click on the link on the homepage. It takes you to our gallery page with our original renderings. And then you can click a button at the bottom of the page or even at the top, actually, that says place your deposit. And if you want one of these in your backyard or you want one to tow around the country, because you can tow them anywhere, they're on a dual axle and in a rigid frame, you can put your $500 down and hold your place in line. I think a lot of people are concerned about the deposit, though.
Yeah.
Like what happens if I can install it or whatever? We talked about this the other day.
Sure. Yeah. There's a lot of concerns around regulation and all that sort of stuff. So that's obviously going to be a challenge for a lot of people, and we don't have the answer for every single municipality. No. We're working on that, and we will have something more solid at some point. But for right now, we just know the regulations are changing in California. Come January 1st, the cities have to start allowing these in some capacity. So we're getting there with that. If you're in California, you're in luck. This is,
it's easy.
It's going to get much easier.
So we're by the way, we white glove handle your install. It's not free. Like it's, the $3,500 down for our loan covers that install process. We do a site inspection. If for some reason, if you place a deposit on a home, after watching the video today, right, and and we do a site inspection 2 months from now before your unit's going to be produced. And for whatever reason, we'd find out the municipality is just like, there's no way this is ever going in your backyard, then we just refund your deposit. But at least you held your place in line, and then maybe there's somebody else, a friend of yours, who wanted one that does work for theirs, and you can just hand off here, friend, here's my place in line. You can just hand off your sale to them. So.
Well, we got a question that got posted, by a very attractive lady. My wife specifically asked, when is the soonest we can order a Back Porch Home? You can order it now, and we're going to be starting production on these units right after the first of the year. So the goal is to get these units out hopefully at the end of February. It might not happen till March. Just kind of depends on how quickly we can get this space spooled up and tooled up and start production on these things, because
we have a building.
We have a building in mind. We have all kinds of good things. We have pretty much everything ready to go, but we're just waiting on a couple little things to line up, and then we're ready to start production. So you can start today.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you, Stephen and Todd, for making yourselves available.
And your patience.
Yes, thank you. We'll make sure next time we're ready to go. To get in contact with us, if you're interested in buying, go to the website. That's www.backporchhomes.com. And also, there's the logo.
It's like a typical YouTube logo.
If you're interested in finding out about being an investor, go to investinbph.com. That will take you.
That link will not be up forever.
Won't be up forever. Neither will the investing opportunities be available forever. So if you want to get on something big, which is something relatively small, and now is the time to do that. And most importantly, if you could help us as an influencer. So share this video, share information, our videos on your Facebook page,
and while you're
LinkedIn,
click
Instagram.
a like on this video while you're here. That would help out tremendously.
Yeah, subscribe to all of our properties, because
subscribe.
Yes, exactly. If you care about your friends, tell them about Back Porch.
We should have started with, "Hi guys."
Right, exactly. What's up, YouTube? Yeah.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. We'll see you in the next stream. And if you have any other specific questions, you can always send us an email straight to everyone@backporchhomes.com, and we'll try to get back to you as quickly as we can.
That's really the email address is everyone
at backporchhomes.com. hopefully that came through. Everyone at backporchhomes.com.
All right.
So take care.